Joe Rogan recently shared why he believes Diddy Combs may not receive the severe prison sentence many people once expected. Referring to comments from Kurt Metzer, Rogan suggested the investigation could involve issues extending beyond one individual. He also mentioned prosecutor Maureen Comey's role and questioned whether the case might overlap with other influential figures. According to Rogan, if every alleged connection had been fully explored, the impact could have reached far beyond Diddy. Those remarks quickly sparked fresh online discussion as people continued examining how the case has developed.
In multiple allegations against rapper days before trial's end. Hey, he says,
wow.
Hey, remember I called it? This is Kurt Metzger on Twitter. Because James Comey's daughter is the prosecutor.
Yep.
Remember how well she swept up on the Ghislaine trail?
Yep.
Hey, who else called it?
Yep.
I can't be the only one. Yeah, he called it.
Yep.
He called it in the fucking green room of the mothership. Right when he found out, he goes, he's gonna walk. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you heard these charges?
Yeah.
He's going to go to jail.
Yeah.
No, Metzger was right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we I don't know what happened with Ghislaine
And you don't
Maxwell.
think
What's
they
she
could
doing
fake
right
the
now?
moon landing?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Joe Rogan questioned why the public.
Rogan then addressed a question many people have asked throughout the case. Early reports led some to believe investigators had uncovered material that could involve several well-known figures, creating expectations that more information would eventually become public. As the legal process continued, however, those expectations were not met in the way many anticipated. Rogan questioned why the public conversation became much narrower than earlier speculation suggested. Whether those early claims were exaggerated or simply unrelated to the charges remains uncertain, but the difference between public expectations and the courtroom proceedings continues to generate debate.
Where's the videos? They were telling us that videos are going to come out, incredibly high-profile people doing horrendous things, evil things. People are going to go to jail. People are going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Where?
Right.
Nothing.
Well, like,
zero.
My thing about the Diddy thing is, like, I don't really give a fuck. These people are they're of age. They're like 18 years old. And is it what he's doing, trying to, like, use people and leverage them into do these weird sexual things and like sick shit, just the most sick shit you could possibly think of. But like the way I look at it is these people are using this Diddy stuff. All it does is like take away from the real child that's going on with like underage kids, right? There's like what 300,000 something like missing kids. Like talking about Diddy and his oil parties with these 18-year-olds, like, do I think it's good? No. I want to beat up their dad, but other than that, I don't really give a fuck if there's like 18 to 19-year-olds that are doing this stuff, as long as they're not being like actually like physically.
As interest in the case grew, older interviews featuring Diddy began resurfacing. One conversation that originally focused on politics, influence, and civic engagement attracted renewed attention. Although it took place years before the current legal proceedings, some viewers began interpreting those remarks differently after the controversy surrounding Diddy. The interview itself has not changed, but the public's perspective has. Whether those comments have any deeper significance is open to interpretation, yet the return shows how past media appearances often receive new attention once a celebrity becomes the focus of major legal headlines.
We get down to the local elections, when we get down to the school board, we get down to the judges and the justices, that's so confusing for us. We've never played this game. This is another level of gangster. But I played this game before, you know? I started in 2004 with Vote or Die, and this is the evolution of that thought, of that empowerment, of that independence.
Inside the courtroom, the cases unfolded very differently from the speculation circulating online. Diddy's defense team has challenged several parts of the government's case, arguing that certain recorded encounters involved consenting adults participating in private activities rather than criminal conduct. They also argued the recordings were created for personal use instead of commercial purposes, making some charges inappropriate in their view. Prosecutors strongly reject those arguments and continue presenting a different interpretation of the same evidence. Ultimately, those disagreements are for the court to decide.
Read you something from their brief. Listen to this. They say, freak-offs and hotel nights were highly choreographed sexual performances involving the use of costumes, role play, and staged lighting, which were filmed so Combs and his girlfriends could watch this amateur pornography later. Pornography production and viewing of this sort is protected by the First Amendment and thus cannot constitutionally be prosecuted. So what they're saying is, look, if you want to use the Mann Act to prosecute people who are moving prostitutes across state lines for commercial transactions, which again is what it's usually used for, That's one thing. But here, there's no commercial purpose. Diddy lost money. He ended up paying the prostitutes. The films were never distributed to anybody. The defense is saying it was for his pleasure and the pleasure of people who may have been participating. So they're saying, look, this is like any the OnlyFans. It could be anything like that. And all of that is constitutionally protected and shouldn't be private.
Outside the courtroom, older videos featuring Diddy have spread rapidly across social media. One widely discussed clip came from a charity event where someone joked about spending time with Diddy at one of his famous parties. At the time, the audience laughed and the exchange was treated as harmless entertainment. Years later, after the legal allegations emerged, many viewers revisited the same moment with a different perspective. Whether that change reflects hindsight or shifting public opinion, it demonstrates how people's views of old footage can evolve as new events unfold.
Nights for you, Sharon. 3 nights. 3 nights. Full room and board.
Another thing is unlimited. If we become friends, you can stay for a long time. This is just a start. This is just a start to raise money for the kids. We didn't even talk about Miami. We may go from the Hamptons to Saturday, New York to Miami. You may show up a month late.
100,000?
100 right there, my man.
I'll
right
go
there.
100 in the back.
Another interview that resurfaced showed Diddy discussing the effort he put into preparing his gatherings. He spoke about arranging hotel rooms and creating a certain atmosphere before guests arrived. When the interview originally aired, it was presented as a lighthearted late-night television conversation. Following the recent legal developments, however, many viewers returned to the interview and interpreted it through the context of today's headlines. It has become another example of how familiar media appearances often gain renewed attention when circumstances surrounding a public figure change.
This is just made up myth or if this is true, but I'm told that when you go to a hotel, anytime you go to a hotel, you don't just check in the way everybody else does. You send someone ahead to prepare the hotel room for you.
No, it's called preparing the sexy.
Preparing the sexy?
Yeah.
What's preparing the sexy?
I mean, when I walk in, I definitely take pride in being the originator of the preparation of the sexy.
Yes.
Yes, and that's candles. I like candles. I like tuberose. That's a smell. I like that scent. I'm attracted to certain scents.
What kind of?
Tuberose.
Tuberose.
Yes.
Okay, as a scent you like.
Yes, it's a scent.
Okay.
Tuberose.
Yes.
I like lilies. I like white orchids. Roses and things of that nature. I'm into baths. So I like my bath at the right temperature. It's just little things that I personally like. I work hard and I like my room to be sexy.
Sure. You like to prepare the sexy, is what you're saying. You can't just count on the sexy. Prepare the sexy.
You have to make sure you go through the proper measures to make sure that your sexy is there.
Despite the widespread circulation of these older clips, the courtroom has remained focused on the specific charges prosecutors decided to pursue. Rogan pointed out that much of the online conversation has revolved around rumors, speculation, and years of celebrity gossip, while the legal proceedings have addressed a much narrower set of allegations supported by evidence presented in court. That distinction has surprised many observers who expected a broader case. As the trial continued, the difference between online discussion and courtroom arguments became increasingly noticeable.
It seems like what's going on is just like this weird cultish thing where they slowly get creep closer and closer and closer to this thing. Like, oh, I'm here now. All these famous people are here. They're doing this. Like
elaborate parties,
yeah.
Lots of money, everything you want. The golden carrot at the end of the stick.
Right.
So the thing is, he's not even being charged for any of the things you just brought up. He's not being charged for blackmail, which is kind of crazy. Because what did they do? Why did they tell us that there was all these videos of all these high-profile people and then silence, and then it never comes up once during the trial? There's none of that stuff in the trial. In the trial, it was his ex-girlfriend Cassie. They were talking about, so he's up for these 2 charges left, and it's like prostitution, something.
As attention remained on the trial, more videos showing Diddy's interactions with other celebrities also resurfaced. Clips from interviews, backstage moments, and award shows quickly spread online. One involving rapper Meek Mill generated especially strong reactions, with some viewers describing the interaction as unusually affectionate, while others argued it simply reflected Diddy's outgoing personality. Regardless of interpretation, the renewed interest highlights how old footage can take on a completely different meaning once someone becomes the center of a major legal controversy.
King son. Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Rogan also expanded the conversation by comparing the situation to other high-profile entertainment scandals. He referenced R. Kelly's case while explaining that fame and influence do not place anyone above legal scrutiny. At the same time, he emphasized an important distinction between allegations, online speculation, and evidence presented in court. According to Rogan, public narratives often become much larger than the legal case itself, making it essential to separate internet discussion from the arguments actually presented before a judge and jury.
But I think those rappers did some wild shit.
I mean, it was,
especially in the 90s.
Music business. It's a lot of people.
It's not just the music business. It's like, it's the extortion business.
Well, I mean, the rap game was crazy. That's a thing a lot of people don't realize is like, back in the day, especially like early rap game, you weren't just going to play at, what's the random theater that you would play in LA? What's like a big theater? I'm trying to think. The Orpheum or something like that. Wiltern. Some guys were explaining to me, it was like, you would play at the local hood club. There was like a hood club that you could perform at. And then that was owned by the local drug dealer that was washing money there.
Right.
So this is where the idea of like checking in comes from. Have you heard of this term?
Yes.
Like checking in was basically like, hey, I want to make sure we're good because you're going to pay me. And if I don't check in, you might rob me because you're putting me up at the hotel and you know everything that's going on and you're dealer. So you don't play by the rules.
Right. When you come to Houston, you're checking in with certain people.
Mr. Prince.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Prince.
Yeah.
You don't got.
Following Diddy's arrest, more individuals began publicly sharing experiences they claim to have had around him. One of the most widely discussed accounts came from singer and content creator Tana, who described attending one of Diddy's after parties while trying to establish herself in the music industry. Her interview gained significant attention because it offered a personal account from someone who said she had witnessed the atmosphere firsthand. As public interest continued growing, stories like hers became an increasingly visible part of the broader conversation surrounding Diddy's past.
In there, I'm just so happy, and I'm just like kind of nervous, but then what's making me even more nervous is the music and the naked people walking around. So I'm like, the music is going fast, so I'm like feeling like a rush. I don't know if it's a good thing, I don't know if it's a bad thing. I just know I'm excited but nervous at the same time. That was my intuition telling me some shit was about to go down, or it was like some crazy going off. Long story short, I started to see unusual things, people skinny dipping in the pool, P. Diddy running around like a crazy animal. I seen like a lot of, bisexual, this type of people, trans, just different types of people. And I love everyone. I've been in the industry, so like I don't discriminate on nobody. I love a lot of gays. I love anybody who is happy, anybody who is positive. But when it starts to get kind of crazy, I'll be like, I don't want to attach myself to that type of stuff.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for all those in London that don't know what happens to the white man when he comes to a P. Diddy party, this is what happens to the white man. It's so unfortunate.
According to Tana, she expected an ordinary celebrity party, but soon felt the atmosphere was very different from what she imagined. She recalled feeling both excited and uneasy as the night progressed, saying her instinct suggested something was off. In her account, she described seeing behavior that made her increasingly uncomfortable. Tana also claimed Diddy briefly spoke with her, asked how she liked his home, and encouraged her to head farther inside. She said the interaction left her uneasy, and she decided to distance herself from the situation. After Diddy's arrest, the interview resurfaced and attracted millions of views as people revisited stories connected to his parties.
Seen Diddy, he rubs me on my shoulder, he asks me, how are you liking my house? And he kind of like startled me a little bit. So mind you, this feeling I was feeling, I'm not sure if it was because I'm thinking I'm gonna have to maybe sing or get signed or this is my opportunity. You hear these in the industry, you've been singing for so long and you hear these stories like when you get your big break, you're gonna go through all this bull crap and then one night it's just gonna change your life. So it's like you're gonna be a nobody at one moment and the next moment you just may be a superstar tomorrow. It's like an overnight celebrity type of thing. So that's just what I'm banking off. But then I get something different from Diddy. When he comes to me and he's rubbing on me and he's asking about do I like his house, I'm feeling like a dark energy, like in his eye. And I'm like, why is it giving scared? Like he's trying to, with his power, like, how are you liking my house? Like anything you want, let me know. Like, and then he tells me, go in the house. So after a while, he's watching me with the friends. Everybody is just watching.
The federal trial also included testimony from people who claimed to have attended private gatherings involving Diddy and Cassie Ventura. One witness, Sheree Hayes, testified that he participated in multiple events over several years. He described his personal experiences and explained what he said he observed while interacting with them. His testimony became one of several first-hand accounts presented to jurors during the proceedings.
Hayes, and I was part of the freak-offs with Cassie Ventura and Sean Diddy Combs. It lasted from September 2012 to approximately March of 2015. I estimate somewhere between 8 and 12 times.
Hayes testified that he originally believed he had accepted a routine entertainment booking similar to many he had completed before. According to his account, a woman contacted him requesting entertainment for what was described as a birthday celebration. However, after arriving, he said it quickly became clear the event was unlike anything he had expected. From the setting to the instructions he received, Hayes told jurors the experience felt very different from his normal work. His testimony became an important part of the prosecution's case.
We also get calls for private parties. So I just got a standard call that night where a woman called me up and said, hey, it's my birthday and my husband says I can get some entertainment for me and my friends. I got a location, a time, and showed up with my dance bag ready to do a little strip tease. And when I opened the door, I ended up opening up to a woman in a bathrobe, and it was, for me, probably the most attractive woman that I've seen in person.
Hayes further testified that before the event began, he received detailed instructions outlining what was expected of him. He said those requests differed greatly from his usual assignments and immediately made the situation seem unusual. Hayes also testified that he received a large cash payment before anything took place, reinforcing his belief that this was far from a routine booking. He later told the jury it remained one of the most memorable experiences of his career.
We're at parties and I'm walking in thinking I'm coming into a crowd of people. But I walked into this very dimly lit room by candlelight, and what was the most odd thing was all of the furniture was covered in sheets. And she immediately explained to me the circumstances, that she was trying to set a sexy scene, that me and her were gonna sit on these couches and put baby oil on each other in a suggestive way. And at some point, her husband would come out and watch. But I'm not supposed to acknowledge him, look at him, have any eye contact. We're supposed to do our best to act like he's not even there. So it was way out of my comfort zone. My initial feeling was to question, but the minute I was told what was expected, she handed me a stack of money. Essentially $2,000 for what was asked of a baby oil massage. It was something I was gonna give a go. Hey, look, I'm an opportunist, right? So I get a stack of money, I got this beautiful woman.
Hayes also testified that another individual remained mostly out of sight during the encounter and that he had been instructed not to acknowledge or interact with that person. He said the arrangement was unlike anything he had previously experienced in his line of work. According to Hayes, the event stayed with him long afterward because it was so different from his typical assignments. His testimony became another first-hand account presented to the jury.
Baby oil play, Mr. Combs walks over and he takes like a pack of condoms and he just throws it on the couch and kind of says, I'm ready to watch you, you know, penetration in a very direct way, right? And that made me uncomfortable and I could not perform. We stopped the session, she left the room, came back in, and then the conversation was different at the end, right? The conversation would usually be, that was great, we'll see you next time. And the conversation this time was, well, we appreciate your privacy and being discreet and thank you so much. And I just read between the lines like, oh, that didn't go too well. And the next time I ended up in any scenario with them being mentioned or involved is I'm sitting with federal investigators.
As the investigation continued, additional people connected to Diddy's past began sharing their experiences publicly. One interview that attracted significant attention featured former celebrity bodyguard Big Homie CC during an appearance on Piers Morgan Uncensored. During the interview, he claimed he believed the situation surrounding Diddy extended beyond what had become public. He also alleged that Diddy hosted exclusive gatherings attended by influential people, suggesting there could still be aspects of the story that remain unknown. His comments quickly spread across social media and fueled further debate.
Well, Piers, let me ask you a question. From your journalistic perspective, have you ever noticed how in this industry, people untimely meet their demise as soon as somebody else seems like they're having a problem? Have you ever seen that before?
Well, there was, of course, the case of one of his other ex-girlfriends, Kim Porter, who died of pneumonia at a very young age. You just referenced your own situation with pneumonia that you believe was deliberate poisoning. Do you believe that may be what happened to her?
Why are so many people coming down with pneumonia? Why is that happening to everybody? What is that about? Where have you ever seen this many cases of pneumonia associated with one situation. So, you know.
Big Homie CC also claimed that speaking publicly carried personal risks, saying he had faced threats during different stages of his career. He discussed health issues he experienced, drawing attention because of public conversation surrounding the death of Diddy's former partner, Kim Porter. However, no public evidence has established any connection between those events. He also addressed allegations made in a lawsuit mentioning his name, stating that he disputes those claims. His interview generated widespread online discussion about whether additional information could emerge in the future.
The party guy. He was the person who lined up the parties and festivities for a lot of guys a lot more wealthy and affluent than him. So, you know, I'm a person who believes that the Epstein's list is very similar to Diddy's list. I'm a believer in that. And, you know, whenever it comes to protecting women and children, I'm gonna be fierce. Big ups to my sponsor, Stallion Gear, for putting up funds to help us go out and help people. You know, I want to salute Michael Franzese because he's probably the only famous person who donated to our campaign for protecting women and children, going down to the
Alongside the criminal case, Diddy also faces multiple civil lawsuits that continue shaping the broader legal battle. One lawsuit includes allegations of abuse dating back to the plaintiff's childhood. Diddy has denied those allegations, and his legal team has called the claims false. His representatives have also argued that many lawsuits are financially motivated and have indicated they may pursue legal action against people they believe made fabricated accusations. As a result, the dispute has expanded beyond the courtroom into a wider public debate over evidence, credibility, and competing claims.
Lawsuit states Diddy guided the minor into one of the back rooms and shut the door behind them. Diddy then allegedly offered the minor a sip of his alcoholic beverage. The plaintiff took a few sips and quickly began to feel the effects. What follows in the court document is an explicit account of sexual battery. The filing alleges that Diddy began rubbing the plaintiff's arm, and when the minor stated he felt uncomfortable, Diddy allegedly ignored his plea.
After years of allegations, witness testimony, and intense public attention, the legal outcome has differed from what many originally expected. According to Federal Bureau of Prisons records referenced in this script, Diddy is scheduled for release on February 23, 2028, after serving a 50-month federal sentence at FCI Fort Dix in New Jersey. That projected release date surprised many people who expected a much longer sentence. Others point out that criminal sentences are based on convictions and charges proven in court rather than every allegation or rumor discussed publicly. The case remains one of the most closely followed celebrity legal stories in recent years. While the courtroom is focused on specific evidence and charges, the broader public conversation has continued examining old interviews, social media clips, witness accounts, and speculation surrounding Diddy's past. Joe Rogan's comments added another layer to that discussion by highlighting the difference between public expectations and the issues actually argued in court. Whether future developments change the public's understanding of the case remains uncertain, but interest in Diddy, the investigation, and the wider entertainment industry is unlikely to fade anytime soon. That's it for today's video. Stay tuned as we continue following any major developments. Until next time.